So welcome. Today we are going to discuss about milk hygiene in relation to public health. So before going to the topic, let me remind you again what the hygiene is. So from hygiene, today we have got good hygienic practices. And these good hygienic practices will have a long-term impact on the food industry. Okay, as we all know, the term hygiene has roots in French, hygiene, and Latinization of this Greek term led to the what we call it as today as a hygiene. So hygiene means health, art of health, being healthy, the practices that lead to the positive health, health promotion, all those activities or the practices we call them as hygiene only. So good for health or being healthy, healthful living, having sound health, okay, or the salutary or wholesome health. This is what we call it as the hygiene, the practices, okay, the set of practices performed for the prevention of preservation of health, preservation of health in the sense prevention of disease only. Okay, we call some experts, they call it as positive health or negative health. Okay, and as in India, so even in the Greece also there was a personification, and you know Asclepius, and you know about the goddess Hygeia, and the accordingly the different mythological theories associated with the Hygeia, you know it already. And in today's civic society, hygiene we apply at every level. We apply starting from our personal hygiene to the industrial hygiene, societal hygiene. So the hygiene at a country level as a whole, these are all various gradations of the hygiene. And same principles we also have imbibed into, we have extrapolated them towards the food production. And we call them as the good hygienic practices. And these good hygienic practices in any country, they are dependent on the social factors, the cultural factors, the economical factors, and above all, the evolutionary factors associated with that particular society. And they have a long-term or short-term bearing on the implementation of the hygiene. When you talk about the low and middle income Afro-Asian countries, these good hygienic practices are a bit compromised. When you talk about the high income countries, there is no compromise in the implementation of these good hygienic practices in the food production, and any deviation or violation of the set standard would invite the producer or anybody who is into the food business a big compensation or penalty or even the punishment. These are the things that are associated with the hygiene. So hygiene is an art, is a science, is a legality, so that we can protect the public health. With that perspective, we are going to take today's class. Okay. Now today's topic is milk hygiene in relation to public health. So we have public health, you know that what is public health is, and we have to discuss the milk hygiene in the light of the public health. Okay, ultimately milk is a food. Okay, again when I mean milk here, again you remember basic my definition of market milk. Okay, the market milk, and hygiene refers here the good hygienic practices. Okay, good hygienic practices, they start with an individual and they end with the industry. Industrial hygiene, the plant hygiene, the plant environment hygiene. Ultimately, we have to produce the milk which is clean, safe, wholesome. Okay, and what is the objective behind this? Such that the milk that is produced from the animals will keep long. This is what we call it as shelf-life. Okay, can be the quality contained in that is preserved and is safe. Safe in the sense when the consumers consume that milk, they will not suffer from disease. This is what is the safety. So when we talk about the milk hygiene in relation to the public health, so it is promotion of the health of the individuals who drink the milk, who consume the milk or milk product. At the same time, will not suffer from the disease or the ailment. Okay. Then this term we already seen, but without understanding this definition, understanding the milk hygiene in relation to public health is incomplete. You just in a rapid way, let us brush through this definition. Scientific practices or measures taken in maintaining the health of milk producing animals. See here, the animal which produces the milk, that's number one, that is in the center. Next, hygienic and sanitary practices in the production. So milk, most milk will not come out in vacuum, no? Directly from the cow to the can. It has to be produced. Okay, it has to be through a process of milking. It has to be collected into a receptacle. Okay, after collecting that in a receptacle, it has to be carried. It has to be handled. Okay, it has to be processed. Okay, and then it has to be transformed or converted into milk or milk products. Okay, value-added milks or the milk product, so that we can meet the requirement of the society. Someone likes cheese, someone likes paneer, someone likes curd, someone likes the toned milk, someone want the slim milk, someone want to have the milk to become lean, someone want to gain the weight with the milk. So it has to be transformed. So whether it is a milk or the market required product, that the milk requires a transformation. This we call it as a process. Okay. So the hygiene principles, again, remember from the basic definition of hygiene. Let it be the nail hygiene, nose hygiene, oral hygiene, dental hygiene, the other types of hygienes to the industrial hygiene. So that's what is the gradation. So likewise, when we talk about the milk, it is the production, distribution, procurement, handling, processing, distribution. Farm to fork approach, when you talk about at all these points, okay, there is a likelihood of introduction of the microbial or non-microbial contaminants, pollutants, toxicants, we call simply them as hazards. Okay, so prevention of such hazards entry into the milk supply chain is nothing but milk hygiene practice. Okay, this is what ultimately, why are we doing this? By doing this, one thing is we can extend the product shelf life. Product shelf life means the milk which is produced by this way, following the hygienic principles, will be having certain attributes in that, so that it can be kept longer. The products that are prepared out of such a milk will be superior. Okay. Second is when such milk is consumed, there is no suffering of the consumers by any of the health ailments. Safety. One is quality, other is safety, and we have to preserve and maintain this one from production, processing, handling, the distribution. This is what we call the supply chain, farm to fork, table to table. So we apply all these milk hygiene principles so that the public health is protected, public health is promoted, trade is promoted. Okay. Okay. Now, the various kinds of hazards we discussed, they are physical hazards, the chemical hazards, the biological hazards. Some are visible. Say, for example, a fly, a feed residue is visible, while majority are non-visible. The chemical or microbial contaminants or their toxins, they are not visible to the naked eyes. So, one thing we need to understand here is that milk hygiene part, this particular practices, they are by default, they are very much essential for the modern production of milk or dairy products. Without hygienic practices, there cannot be milk production. Let it be milk, let it be meat, let it be egg, or let it be any foods of animal origin. Without the hygienic principles, you cannot produce that. That is what is the requirement of the day. For that, this is being taught in detail to you as veterinary graduates. Okay. Now, one thing I talked about, milk hygiene aims at prevention of introduction of these hazards into the supply chain. Second, these hygienic principles are mandatory requirements by these quality assurance schemes. We call upon them as hazard analysis, critical control point. We call them simply as total quality management systems. Okay, it starts with good hygienic practices, the prerequisite programs, and the basic steps of HACCP, and then come to the ISO 22000, the food safety management system. So all these are quality assurance systems. They all are based on the hygiene principles only. Okay, ultimately consumer has to be protected. Consumer, who is the consumer? Consumers are nothing but public health. If at all you want to promote or protect the public health, you need to apply these hygiene principles. Third, risk analysis. The risk analysis in the sense, what is the risk? The probability of the hazard causing some health injury is a risk. Okay, we should differentiate these terms, risk and hazard. Hazard is a physical, chemical, or biological entity. Okay, the probability of presence of this particular entity in the food leading to the health effect is the risk. Okay, many times we say, no, don't play with that particular animal. That is risky. Why it is risky? It may bite you, it may sting you, it may envenom. That is why there is risk associated with that. Many times your parents will tell, no, don't play with a knife. Okay, don't play with electricity, don't play in the water. They say like that. Why? Because there is risk associated with that. Okay, what is the risk? It may be injury, it could be hurt, it could be life also. Okay. Next, technological improvements. Say for example, I am having some primitive processing instruments that are potentially adding contaminants or toxicants into the milk or milk product. So until and unless I improvise that, then how can I know that it is an improvised version in terms of hygiene? So there is reduced plate count. Okay, there is increased shelf life. There are no pathogens. These are all the things associated with the improvements. Okay. So these improvements, if at all you want to bring in the technological improvements in the processing or procurement, whatever it is, you have to follow the milk hygiene practices. Above all, there are other factors also associated that require milk hygiene practices. They are the animal welfare, control of infectious and non-infectious diseases, prevention of entry of endogenous or exogenous hazards into the milk. Okay, these are all the indications or requirements or objectives for which we require robust milk hygiene practices. Ultimate aim is consumer protection. Okay, and ultimate aim is assurance. You cannot say that let there be salmonella, let there be listeria in the milk. Anyway I am pasteurizing. Why we have to take care? This is not the aim of quality assurance schemes. Okay, you cannot say like that, because when we talk about food production, it is the food chain, not the product. Okay, you can say, no, sir, I am boiling the milk. Who cares? Damn, I don't bother whether there is salmonella, listeria. Whether boiling kills the organisms or not, yes. If boiling kills the organisms, why are you talking about these hygiene practices? You cannot claim like that. Okay, in the modern assurance schemes, you have to see that at any point in the production line or supply chain, there should not be introduction of any hazard, let it be physical, chemical, or biological, which would otherwise cause the health impact in the consumers. Okay, this is what we call it as the food supply chain. Okay, say for example, Staphylococcus aureus. Okay, pasteurization kills the Staphylococcus aureus. If the animal is masticated, milk is collected. Okay, once it is subjected for pasteurization, Staphylococcus aureus is killed, but the toxins are not inactivated. There are many toxins, including the mycotoxins, that will be still have the biological effect, even though they have been subjected for the routine heat treatments. That is why we go for food chain, not for the product. Okay. Next, animal welfare. That the cow that gives the milk to us, the buffalo that gives the milk for us, it should be respectfully handled, because after all, it is also one more creature in the nature. Second, we have to produce the milk in such a way that there is no introduction of these physical, chemical, or biological hazards. Next, we have to implement the quality assurance systems. Okay, we have to manage the risk. We have to abide by the legislation or compliance with the existing standards. And we have to undertake certain research and development in the milk hygiene practices. Okay, we want to make some technological intervention. So, for example, I want to change from aluminum alloy can to the stainless steel 304. That is a technological innovation, because this aluminum can is not that much robust compared to the stainless steel. Or tomorrow you invent some other synthetic material. Okay, we have to see that whether there is any plastic that is leaching into the milk. Is there some corroded material which is invisible, but it's having it is getting leached into the milk, but there are no short-term effects. But after long-term carriage of milk under such utensils, it is leading to the cancer-like situations. So this is what is technological intervention. You have to see them in the pursuit of the milk hygiene practices. And above all, this is very important. Human mind tends to forget things. Okay, it is a human tendency that we forget the things. So that is why repeatedly somebody has to tell, repeatedly some awareness has to be created, so that we will stick and we will follow, we will be more disciplined in the production practices. This is education, training, awareness, capacity building programs. They're all part of the clean milk production. They're all hygienic milk production practices. They're all milk hygiene practices when we talk about the milk. Okay, same is true with meat, same is true with egg, or foods of animal origin or plant origin. Okay, with this, let me introduce some of the concepts. So there are basic questions that are asked to you by many people in the society. Okay, one is raw milk safe? Okay, why we have to drink the boiled milk? Is it not we can survive with the raw milk? Is raw milk more nutritious? We have a pasteurized milk and a raw milk. Okay, is this more nutritious, raw milk? The milk that is produced from those naturally pastured cows. Okay, the cows have not been tied. They have not been provided some concentrate, which is in the intensive type of animal husbandry. We do that. We graze them there in the just like natural conditions, which was primitive. Okay, is the milk obtained from such cows is more nutritious compared to the one which we are doing here in an intensive type of animal husbandry with a concentrate feed tied together with always 24/7. So is that? Oh, next question. Production of raw milk, is it better for the farmers? Okay, these are all the basic questions that arise when it comes to a dairy business. Okay, let us answer one by one these questions. Okay, now the question is raw milk safe? Okay, somewhere in USA, okay, this gentleman, okay, US FDA director John, he says drinking raw milk or eating raw milk products is like just like playing a Russian roulette with your health. You know what is Russian roulette? Russian roulette means a game wherein what they will do, they will take a revolver. Revolver will have 6 sockets. They will put one bullet in only one socket and they will roll it. Okay, and it's very dangerous game. It should not be played. Okay, then they will point themselves. Okay, they trigger it. Number 1. Oh, I am still surviving. Okay, then they will do at others also. So this is something a dangerous game. So it is just like drinking raw milk means it is playing a dangerous game, because we do not know when that bullet is going to fire into our head, because we are pointing the gun towards us. This is what is the game. Some Pailwans must have been safe who used to drink the raw milk, but Upon time, say for example, if one time that cow is infected with salmonella, listeria, or pathogenic E. coli, so the person has to suffer with the gastrointestinal episodes. Okay, one time he must be saved, he or she. Second time may be saved, not always. Every day is not a Sunday. Okay, likewise, we can say that, oh, we can give a good example, sir. My grandfather used to drink raw milk directly from cow to mouth, and he was such a healthy man. He was a wrestler. But how many such grandfathers are there? I have seen many such pailwans who were pailwans and later on they became kaddi pailwans also. Tuberculosis, the brucellosis. Okay, that's why I'm telling you, every day is not a Sunday. You cannot say that all raw milk is safe. It is just like, as it is told, it is just like playing a Russian roulette. Okay. The next second question is raw milk more nutritious than the pasteurized or the boiled milk? The research conducted so far has not given any conclusive decision on the raw milk is more nutritious than the boiled milk. Okay, when such is the conclusion, even if there are some minor changes, but they are not significant to affect the population. Is it clear? That's very important. Okay, you cannot say that small, how small is small and how big is big. Okay, the big should be significantly big and the small should be significantly small. Then only we say there is small or big. Likewise, when it comes to the nutrition, okay, the statements that unpasteurized or unboiled milk, raw milk is more nutritious than the pasteurized milk, there is no significant difference. Okay, underline significant. There would be some minor subtle difference, but it's not significant. So there is no point in arguing that raw milk is highly nutritious. Don't use that word highly. Okay, don't use that word significantly nutritious than the raw milk. It's not possible. Next, there are certain proteins in the milk. You know that milk is a colloid. It is oil in water type of emulsion. Okay, there are many more things associated with the milk. These properties of milk we study in LPT course. Okay, so but in my course, milk hygiene practice, when I am dealing, I will concentrate towards the public health issues linked to the milk. Okay, there are milk proteins. Milk proteins, you know that milk has any protein, that why only milk protein, any protein for that matter, has got 4 different levels of structures. The primary structures, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and the quaternary structure. And you know that there is a 3-dimensional folding of the proteins. They are just like tinker toys. I have shown the figure what are tinker toys. Tinker toys are very delicately made. Okay, minor manipulations could lead to the dismantling of these fragile toys. Just like that, the milk proteins are also, they are very fragile proteins. When they are subjected to heat or a harsh treatment, their conformation would change. Whenever conformation changes, obviously their bioavailability or utilization within the gastrointestinal system also, minor level, that gets changed. Okay, that's one point. Milk proteins, they are diverse proteins. Okay, and their processing has got its own impact on these milk proteins because they are biological entities and they are bound by the physical and electrostatic, chemical and biological changes that occur in the milk. Then, milk carries several kinds of nutrients. There are vitamins, there are minerals, there are enzymes. Okay, they also carry sugar, the protein, the fat. All these things are present in the milk. Okay, so that's why we want the biological value of milk. If you say it is next to egg. Okay, eggs bioavailability is more. So next is milk only. That's what is the bioavailability when we talk about. And there are several immune defense systems that are available in the milk. Okay, and since milk is a protein, milk contains a protein casein or its variants. So in some sensitized individuals, there is elicitation of the immune response. Okay, and the probability of elicitation of such immune response or triggering of the immune system is more when such milk, raw milk, is subjected for the heat treatment or other type of treatments. Okay, this is a physical, because the fragile or delicate protein structures, the conformational change will be there, and this conformation change would lead to triggering of the immune system. Not in all, in certain individuals, we call such as health effect as an allergy. Okay, some individuals, when we talk about the public health, when we talk about the milk's nourishment, there are some individuals in this population or a society who are allergic to the milk proteins. Okay, see this, when you talk about the allergy, don't confuse allergy with the intolerance. When it comes to allergy, the specially sensitized cells should be produced. Okay, and we categorize allergy or hypersensitivity, okay, immune hypersensitivity, as either IgE mediated or non-IgE mediated. Okay, say for example, when we talk about the milk, it is mostly IgE mediated, wherein the individuals, okay, who consume the milk protein, okay, elicits an immune response leading to the effector cells in the body. So wherein there is exaggeration of the immune system, this you call it as an allergy. And this phenomenon is totally different from one more phenomenon that occurs in the milk, that is known as the lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance is not an allergy. There is no elicitation of the immune response within the human milk consumers. Okay. So what happens in lactose intolerance? It is related to the lactose, while allergy is related to the milk proteins, casein and variants. Okay. Allergy is related to the protein in the milk. Lactose is a sugar. It is a disaccharide made up of one molecule of glucose and other molecule of the galactose. Okay. So lactose intolerance in the sense that lactose, when it is lactose sugar, along with the other ingredients of the milk, it is consumed by the human consumers. Within the gastrointestinal system, there is lactase enzyme, and this lactase break down this lactose into glucose and galactose. Okay, and these are used by the body. In some individuals, this lactase enzyme is not present. Okay, so lactase enzyme is insufficient or not there, totally not there. There are two categories here. One is totally not there, absent, there but is insufficient. Okay, under such circumstances, lactose is not broken down into glucose and galactose. Okay, so the high lactose which is present in the intestine, upon bacterial fermentation, because it is not the gastrointestinal tract enzymes that act on, because that enzyme itself is deficient. Okay, in the intestine, in those human beings, the lactic acid which is formed as a result of the bacterial fermentation will get mixed with other ingredients present in the intestine, leading to the abdominal upset. Okay, so diarrhea, flatulence, or other problems. Okay, so this phenomenon you call it as a lactose intolerance. Lactose intolerance is there in the human population, but very low prevalence. Okay, 1 in 1 lakh, something like that. Its prevalence that varies from population to population, region to region, and such individuals can be easily diagnosed. Such individuals should not consume lactose. Rather, they can have the lactose replacements in their diet. Okay, you can see this. This is what is the chronic allergic reaction, and this is the acute allergic reaction, wherein the gut intestine is already having pre-exposure to allergen. In this case, it is the milk proteins. So there is elicitation of the acute allergic reaction or chronic allergic reaction upon re-exposure. So this is what we call it as allergy. Allergy is protein related. Lactose intolerance is sugar, lactose related. There is a lack of enzyme. lactase in the lactose intolerance. While when we talk about the allergy, it is elicitation of the immune response. Okay, is it clear to you? Don't confuse lactose intolerance with the milk allergy. And both of these phenomena, they are there at very minimal frequency in the population. Such human beings should not drink the milk. Next, there is one more related condition known as the galactosemia or GALT deficiency. What is this GALT? It is an enzyme, galactose 1-phosphate uridyl transferase. GALT, it is an enzyme. So there are certain human beings, just like lactase deficiency, there in lactose intolerance, they are deficient in GALT enzyme. So whenever the human being is having this GALT deficiency, especially infants, okay, so there will be higher built up of the galactose. That's why galactosemia. What is galactosemia? Galactosemia means it is there in the blood circulation. Higher concentration of galactose. The galactose itself will become toxic. So health effects are due to the increased galactose, because the galactose has not been converted into glucose. You know that glucose is the energy source in the body, and this is related to the lactose, but it is not a lactose intolerance. Okay, we call this condition as galactosemia, wherein this milk milk sugar, lactose, okay, which is consumed through the milk or milk products, gets in the gastrointestinal tract by lactase enzyme. Lactase is present in them. They are not lactose intolerant, these individuals. Okay, so when lactose is broken down into glucose and galactose, in the normal condition, what will happen? The glucose will, as usual, it will produce energy to the body. You know that it will be that is synthesized through the Krebs cycle, aerobic or anaerobic. You know that oxidative process. But the galactose, since there is no enzyme to convert galactose into glucose in these GALT deficiency individuals, glucose is not formed. Okay, since glucose is not formed from galactose, galactose builds up in the body. And why this happens? This is a genetic disorder. Okay, in certain individuals within the population who are deficient due to the genetic predisposition, the GALT deficiency, they will not be comfortable with the milk consumption. That is why in infants, newborn, there is a screening test known as the presumptive screening test for galactosemia. Okay, that's also there. Okay, and this is what is genetics of this galactosemia. Depend if the parents are heterozygous, you can, just like Mendelian genetics, these are the possibilities. The child can have the homozygous or heterozygous condition, just like this. Now you come to one more much discussed dogma. Dogma in the sense puzzle. A1 and A2 milk. These days we are hearing a lot. And what is the impact of this genotype in a cattle influencing the human health? Okay. So let us go into the mechanisms of A1 and A2, and then let me conclude. Okay, when it comes to a milk protein, A1 and A2, you know that it is related to the milk protein. So you know that milk is a complex mixture of proteins, carbohydrate, fat, and minerals. You know that. Okay, when it comes to a protein, the major protein in the milk is the casein. Okay, and casein genes, no, ultimately this is central dogma. If you talk about it, is the gene, it is the protein. Okay, so the some of the genotypes of the cattle, so they are having say for example 3 possibilities are: a cattle could be A1, A2, or A1, A2, homozygous or heterozygous condition. These are different genotypes. Okay, so you know that central dogma, the casein genes which are present in the cattle. Okay, and it is some 4,000 years back. What happened? No, earlier all these cattle were A2 only. Okay, A2 only. But some 4,000 years back, there was a mutation that occurred in the codon 67. Okay, codon 67, there was a mutation. So instead of proline, the histidine was formed. Okay, you just see what is happening when we talk about the cattle population. Cattle could be either homozygous A1A2, A1A1, A2A2, or heterozygous A1A2. This is the possibility that entire population could be. Majority of our indigenous cattle, they are all A2A2. So majority of the foreign breeds, let it be Guernsey, HF, the Jersey, Brown Swiss, and all, they are carrying a certain proportion of A1 genotypes within them. Either they are heterozygous or some are homozygous A1. Okay, majority are heterozygous only. Okay, they carry A2, but the A1 is also there. That's what is heterozygous condition. This is, you can see lower one. If you breed, what will happen? Parent 1 and parent 2. Okay. So whether it is there in the homozygous condition as A1A1 or heterozygous condition as A1A2, what will happen, you know, the type of the protein that is present in that particular milk protein, casein, if it is A1 type, there will be histidine. If it is A2 type, there will be protein. Now you come to here. Now we have ingested the milk protein. What will happen? So milk, there won't be any change in the milk. Milk will be composition wise, it is same. Protein composition wise, same. So there won't be any characteristic change with respect to A1 or A2 kind of milk. Okay. But when this milk is consumed by the human consumers in the GIT, due to the mutation, okay, at the codon 67, instead of proline, there is histidine, and to digest this particular protein, okay, we do not have any enzymes in our GIT. Then what will happen? There is no splicing here. If it would have been a proline, it would have been normally digested, and the protein would have been helped in the building of the body. That's a routine normal case. Okay, but if it is a A1 type of variant in the casein polymorphism, since there is histidine, there is no splicing of that one, so it would lead to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 amino acid residue, a peptide. We call this as BCM7, beta casomorphin 7, or 7 BCM. We call it as short form. This is formed. Why this is formed? Because there is no splicing at the site of histidine. Is it clear? So since this is formed, so this gets absorbed from the intestine and enters the blood circulation. And this is being one of the member of the opioid group of chemicals that has been associated with hypertension, autism, schizophrenia, type 2 diabetes mellitus. These are some of the conditions that were epidemiologically demonstrated in those individuals who consumed A2 type of A1 type of milk, and these things were less in those individuals who consumed A1 type of milk. So somewhere in 2000 and 2002, New Zealand scientists, they found it, a group, and they registered a company as a A2 corporation. This is what is A2 milk today we are getting in the market. It's a patented one. We should not use the term A2. But of late, what they did, you know, oh, really, this is the genetics. Let us try to understand and put it in a population and try to know what is that. Of late, the scientists, what they did, you know, they took a mouse, rat, and different lab animals. To one group of the lab animals, they fed them with A1 type of milk. Other lab animals, the A2 type of this one, and they found the type of the changes that occur in these experimental animals. And simultaneously, they studied it on a population level, because it was in the New Zealand, Australia that was first promoted. Okay, world will not accept any theory as it is. They will have their own thinking on that. Then they found that these changes are not very much significant. to affect the health of the population. So that is why, yeah, there was no conclusion between the scientists, okay, that A2 is the superior over A1 like that. Okay, so that is why it's good that if some farmer goes towards A2, that is well and good. It is voluntary. We cannot force in the public health. You go for A2 only and you cull all A1 type of, because still we require research on this. It is not conclusive. The results are not conclusive. We may require some more time, that more research will come out on this area and we will specifically promote A2 milk. Is it clear? But some of the people are already, they are into A2 business. They say that our milk is organic and it is from A2 type of this one. If at all they want to do, let them do, because they can label anything. Okay, but according to Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, they say that there is no any added advantage of the milk which is A2 over the A1. That is why if you sell it as a legally as a very superior, it's not permitted. If at all you want to do it, this one as a trade, okay. As a science, no. So at this point of time, this A1 and A2 conflict, you keep it aside until some more research accumulates, and we are very conclusive in saying that A2 is superior than A1. Anyway, majority of the Indian breeds are of A2 type. We Indians, we need not bother much compared to those foreign breeds such as Guernsey, Brown Swiss, Holstein Friesian, and Jersey type of breeds. Clear? Next. Let us come to the modern milk processing and milk hygiene practices. Okay. Hygiene is the heart of all these processes. Why this design? Why this food grade or SS304 stainless steel 304? It will not corrode. It will not erode. It will not introduce. See these silos. Okay, how it has to be cleaned, hygiene. How should be these tubings, hygiene. How the plant should be, hygiene. The plant design and construction, okay, the engineering is driven by the hygiene principles. Okay, that's where public health stands. That's where veterinary public health has a role. You process and make anything. Once the milk passes through this, whether you want to make a paneer, you want to make a kova, ghee, whatever you want to make, you make it. But the pipe should be like this. This is what is my requirement in veterinary public health. I want the air should be free from air contaminants. This is what is my requirement. Is it clear? So the hygiene drives the industry. When we talk about, then why hygiene? Public health promotion. Why public health promotion? It is art and science of positive health. That's why this entire industry is not driven by engineers. It is driven by the food safety experts. Okay, then many more things associated with the often the questions that arise. Pasteurization of the milk would lead to the health problems. So, is there any point in that? At this point of time, we will not agree. Okay, even though there are some reports here and there. So there is no conclusive evidence that pasteurization would lead to allergy. Heating of the milk would lead to the asthma, ear infection. There is diabetes, autoimmune disease, or digestive disorders. It is all not that conclusive. So there is no point in pondering with again these traditional thinkings, except for lactose intolerance, except milk allergy, just like peanut allergy, pollen allergy, okay, galactosemia. These are all some of the genetically related things that are having health impact. Otherwise, ascribing the raw milk or the processed milk to these conditions, there is no point in that. So milk is nature's best food, wholesome food. It is having a lot of bioavailable nutrients, so it has to be promoted. Okay, regarding lactose intolerance, I talked about. Casein intolerance, just like lactose intolerance, there is casein intolerance. Now you know what is the difference between casein. Casein intolerance is related to metabolism of casein. It is not allergy. Okay, milk protein allergy is allergy. Intolerance is not related to the allergy. Okay, you should differentiate these terms. Okay, so milk is very rich in nutrients. Okay, several nutrients are present in that, so it has to be consumed. Okay, and at this point also I cleared earlier, but let me again reiterate. Milk is milk. Okay, and it's all produced the same way by cows. Whether you have this cow, whether you have that cow, whether you have at this point of time this genotype, that genotype, it is milk, market milk. You consume it as milk. That's what is the at this point of time the overall conclusion. Okay, then feed given to the cows that are confined. At times, we provide genetically modified grains to the cow. Does it have any impact on the human consumers? At this point of time, according to the national guidelines, genetically modified organisms, even the fodder, that is not permitted. So in India, at least, we do not have this issue. But in America and somewhere in the developed nations, they do have a lot of GMOs and they won't differentiate between GMOs and non-GMOs. That is their problem. But in India, if it comes, we do not have permission to use the genetically modified grains and all. So that's why there is no question of this one. Then question comes the hormones, antibiotics, the residues in the food. Yes, of course, there is a detailed discussion. Whatever you give to the cow is a veterinary drug or a metabolically active substance or nutraceutical. So all of them have got public health significance. We will discuss about that a little later. Okay, because there is a dedicated class on that, so that's why I don't want to waste time here. Now the question arises is with respect to the adulteration. Adulteration of the milk occurs in two ways. Okay, one is unknowingly. I do not know. I do not know, but I have produced ignorantly. That is unintentional adulteration. Are sir, who does this? Are, there is a painting in the nearby area where the animal is milking, and there is through the air and all there is contamination of the milk. Can you call it as the adulteration? No, it is unintentional. Okay, so unintentional. Sometimes, many times, not sometimes, many times, this adulteration is intentional only. So intentional adulteration in the sense deliberately people add water, starch, neutralizers, detergents, preservatives, okay, coloring agents, thickening agents, melamine, you just remember, okay, synthetic materials, all of them when they are introduced into the milk, and since every milk appears white, even adulterated milk appears white, and these tasteless, odorless adulterants, when they are added into the milk, you will not come to know that organoleptically using your sense organs. So then you require a chemical test or the laboratory test to identify such adulterations. And each adulterant is having its own impact on the health. So at this point of time, when it comes to a public health issue with respect to adulterated milk and milk products, we'll discuss them in detail little later. Okay, they are also hazards only. Okay, melamine is having problem in the body. Okay, if it is the annatto, that is also coloring agent, that is also there. Formalin, preservative. Hydrogen peroxide, preservative. Okay, the detergents, they can upset the gastric system. Okay, urea, that can upset the gastric system. These are all the issues associated with the adulterants. We'll discuss the health impact of adulterants some other time. They do have impact on the public health. That is why adulteration is a punishable offense under the court of law. Under Food Safety and Standards Act in India 2006, okay, any person indulged in the adulteration, depending on the harm it has caused, okay, if it is a water and safe, no issue, little penalty. Okay, if it is some formalin leading to the health injury, okay, more. So that depends on the type of the damage, amount of damage that causes in the food, the volume of the distribution of the food product, that determines how much penalty or imprisonment. These are things need to be done. If there is a fatality due to consumption of the adulterated milk or milk product, there is a severe form of punishment, otherwise penalty. These are the things that are associated with adulteration. Then pasture versus stall fed, I already talked about. At this point of time, you cannot say that. Okay, there is people are more attracted towards that. Okay, if you have availability, you use it. Otherwise, there is no. Milk varies with the season and with the feeding of the cow, especially in regard to vitamin content. The public deserves to have the information that there is great difference between the milk derived from pasture-fed cattle and that obtained in winter from stall-fed animals, unless particular attention is paid to their diet, and that dirty milk is a menace rather than a blessing. This is what is published in American Journal of Public Health. Such things won't arise in India because one thing is, again, pasture versus stall fed, we do not have any categorization in India, and our public is also not that sensitized. Okay, so at this point of time, when I talk about the market milk, whether it is A1 milk or A2 milk, pasture grazed or stall fed, concentrate fed or roughage fed, it is milk, which is graded in terms of fat and SNF. That's what is quality attribute. And when it comes to the safety attributes, so it is certain pathogens, a bunch of pathogens that should not be there, and it should have certain critical limits. That's all in India. Okay. While in abroad, there are to capture the market, they are selling the pasture grazed milk, okay, as a elite milk. Okay. So milk is a part of normal human healthy diet with high biological value. Nutrients are diverse, they are unique, and they will help in the building up of the body. At the same time, milk is also an excellent media for the growth of the microorganisms. These microorganisms, they grow in number, they will spoil the product, or they will liberate the toxin in the milk or milk product. And whenever such pathogens or their toxins are consumed, would lead to human infection, intoxication, or toxin infection. And if those individuals are having certain critical groups such as infants or geriatrics or a diseased one or immunosuppressed one, then that has very deleterious effect on the population. That is why we have to see that milk hygiene practices are followed at every step in the milk supply chain. Clear? Now, the sources of milk contamination we have already studied. Majority are saprophytic type of organisms, environmental contaminants. They will not cause the disease in the humans, but they will spoil the product. Okay, and few are pathogenic organisms, and whenever there are pathogens, they are definitely associated with the human disease. Okay, if the animal is suffering from mastitis, okay, the number of such pathogens increases because you know that many of the organisms are zoonotic in nature. They get transmitted from animal to the human being. Okay, likewise from milker to cow to the human being. That's also possible, long path. So we have to take such a precaution that such organisms or even the non-microbial contaminants such as physical agents and chemical agents should not enter into the milk supply chain. Okay, I am not naming them now because there are many more classes to discuss about them in detail. Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, Escherichia, pathogenic Escherichia coli, the Klebsiella, the Enterobacter, the Clostridium, Bacillus, Listeria monocytogenes, the Salmonella, and Bacillus, many species of Bacillus, Corynebacterium. So they're all associated with the disease in the humans. Okay. If not, they are associated with the spoilage. Okay. There are many bacteria, there are many fungi, there are some viruses that also, say for example, tick-borne encephalitis virus that can get transmitted through the milk to the human consumer, leading to the disease. Okay, they are mesophiles, they are say for example psychrophiles, or even they are thermodurics or thermophiles. Different category of microorganisms. They could be transmitted through milk or milk product to the human being, leading to the gastrointestinal disease in the humans. Okay. So this is one study, the report of a study. The air, if the air is contaminated and milking parlor is not cleaned properly, that would introduce these organisms. Okay. From the manure, there are large number of pathogens and spoilage organisms that are present in the cow manure or dairy animal, because when we talk about the milch animal, it is not cow alone. Many times buffalo, sheep, goat, camel, yak, these are all the milking animals in India. So they can also introduce if the hygienic measures are not followed during milking process. Large number of milk-borne diseases could be transmitted to the humans. Okay, so you cannot say that there are if you pasteurize the milk is highly safe, because after pasteurization also milk can get contaminated. This you call it as post pasteurization contamination. Okay, everybody boils milk in the home, but even then, why there are milk product borne episodes? Thing is that as long as milk was boiled, so long there were no organisms. But when milk product was prepared, that time there was introduction. This is what is the post processing contamination. Okay, at times what will happen? There are certain organisms which are not at all the pathogens of the cow or the milk animal. Okay, say for example, Salmonella typhi. Salmonella typhi is natural host is not a cow or a dairy animal. Then if you find a Salmonella typhi in the milk, what does it indicate? It indicates that there was some typhoid affected milker, and this milker has introduced during milking process these organisms. That's why I'm getting Salmonella typhi in the milk. Okay, so the source is different, diverse source, as I told you, starting from the endogenous. Okay, say for example, if a cow is having tuberculosis or a brucellosis, so obviously the organisms are secreted into the milk. So the source is cow itself. Okay, when we talk about bovine tuberculosis, I'm not going to details of these things because there is a dedicated class on that. Typhoid fever, as I told you earlier, Salmonella typhi, this is old name. Okay, so Salmonella typhi, paratyphi A, B, if they are present, you are getting hepatitis virus in the milk. The source is not the cow, source is contaminated water. You are getting Vibrio cholerae, O1. Okay, what does it indicate? Or O139, it indicates water is contaminated with Vibrio, and that has been introduced into the milk. Okay, but milk consumer is getting a disease. The source is either animal or it is other than animal in the supply chain they are entering into. Okay, paratyphoid also I talked about. Okay. So scarlet fever is one such infection. Diphtheria is another type of infection that could be transmitted. Next, dysentery, bacillary dysentery, what occurred? Certain protozoa here in the sense of Entamoeba histolytica. Okay. Entamoeba histolytica is the, you know that it is a protozoa, gastrointestinal protozoa. So that could be introduced through through the environment or through the water. Brucellosis, as I talked earlier, foot and mouth disease virus. It may not cause very severe disease in the human, but could be transmitted. Anthrax, Bacillus anthracis. So many of the we come across this term milk sickness. Milk sickness here in the sense you have consumed the milk and you got a sickness. Okay, the classical example is Abraham Lincoln's mother. She consumed a milk that consumed some toxic substance, so that was secreted in the milk and she died. Okay, so say for example tremetol is one such alkaloid that could be secreted in the milk, and from where it comes? From cows feed, digestive system, then the secretion into the milk and human being consumed. Okay, so this a plant, say for example Aplopappus heterophyllus, a plant, okay, that causes a disease, trembles in the animals. So we call such a sickness as the milk sickness after consuming the milk. It may not be the microorganism, but it could be some plant toxin or some fungal toxin also. Q fever, Coxiella burnetii, okay, that is the organism that could be there in the milking animal, and that can lead to Q fever. Okay, so that's why what we can do is we can protect the humans milk-borne diseases. It has become milk-borne. It is milk-borne diseases. We can safeguard the public by properly following the precautions. Okay. So we have to keep the utensils and receptacles hygienic. Okay. We have to keep these animals free from these diseases through eradication programs. We have earlier inter-pest eradication program. Now we have Brucella eradication program. Likewise, in humans, there is one tuberculosis eradication program that is running, polio eradication program. So foot and mouth disease, which is on war foot these days. So if we can reduce these diseases in the animals, so animal product will be better. Okay. So these are all the things that are associated with the milk safety. Okay, for public health protection from these pathogens. O157H7, for example, E. coli, that is associated with hemorrhagic colitis, TTP, and hemolytic uremia syndrome in humans. The Salmonella typhimurium, this particular serotype, DT104, Campylobacter, Listeria monocytogenes, Yersinia enterocolitica, that causes pseudotuberculosis. Then the Salmonella species, many species of Salmonella. Yersinia enterocolitica causes pseudoappendicitis. Okay. Next, we can implement the milk hygiene practices across the supply chain. Let us not go into details of these things because they will come in our discussion in next subsequent classes. Okay. So we have to keep the milk supply chain free from all these hazard introducing steps. This is what is the requirement of the quality assurance. Okay, this is what is the requirement of the government. This is what is the compliance means. Okay, there have been several outbreaks associated with Salmonella, Campylobacter, the E. coli, the Yersinia enterocolitica, the Listeria monocytogenes. So there have been. So we have to learn lessons from them. We have to undertake the strict surveillance programs. Okay, in developed countries there is an ongoing program, but unfortunately in our country, due to the lack of money and other factors, we do not have such a robust system. In high-income countries, even a single outbreak is reported, recorded, addressed, and mitigated. Okay, and our cows do suffer from mastitis. There are many kinds of mastitis agents. Large number of them are zoonotic in nature. So we have to see that our animals won't suffer from mastitis, and during mastitis, whatever the veterinary drugs, antimicrobials, and for other reasons also, the veterinary drugs that are injected, antiparasitic that are injected, so their residues won't arise in the milk. Okay, that's why we have to follow the proper withdrawal period. If the withdrawal period is properly followed, such agents are not introduced. So these are all, it's all a long way. They will help us in keeping the public, okay, healthy. Okay, so to safeguard the public, and we are following these milk hygiene practices. Okay, ultimate aim is human safety and delivery of the right product to the consumers for which they have paid. Okay. So this is all the milk hygiene practices in relation to public health. Thank you.